Hi, everybody. This is Micah Lieberman once again coming to you from Scope Summit. This is a Voices of Scope video. As always, I have the privilege of talking to somebody with a lot of experience in running trials within clinical research. And I get to talk to today Mike Eckroat about kind of a little bit of his past and what he's doing now. And then we're going to get into it. But if you don't know Mike is a senior VP of R&D, strategic solutions and technology at Advarra. Is that your job title, Mike?
Correct. Something along
Okay.
those lines. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Hey, thanks for being here.
Of course. Happy to be here. And yeah, Mike, I always appreciate the work that you do for Scope and pulling our community together. And it's an exciting time. It's in sunny Orlando, Florida. So I don't think anyone is
Yeah.
complaining about that. And
Yeah.
in the middle of winter. So yeah, it's an exciting time of year in 2026. So happy to have this conversation with you.
Okay, so let's talk about right now you're working at Advarra. And Advarra, I've worked with for many years. They've been at Scope. Everybody knows them kind of as the world's largest RIB and all central IRB. There's a lot there. But you have not been at Advarra forever. You've had different roles as a technologist and things like that. So talk a little bit about your journey to where you are now, and then that's going to allow us to jump into what we want to talk about.
Yeah, sure. So I think like a lot of people in this industry, I started as a failed pre-med student. So I liked science. I liked human anatomy, human physiology. So I tried to find a career where I could effectively, come into that domain without having to go and spend, another 4 years in academia or in education. And actually started my career in health sciences technology in the electronic medical record sphere. So I worked at a small EMR company, got to learn about good clinical documentation, got to learn about, the workflows of physicians, of hospitals, of big, site networks, and then transitioned to a company called Medidata Solutions, which I think everybody's familiar with.
Yep, sure.
And couldn't have asked for a better start to my career. Had the ability to kind of see research and clinical trials from the ground up, and obviously the input that they've had on the research community. Got exposed to a lot of really good, bright minds in both clinical data management, but obviously some of the work they were doing there on the artificial intelligence front. And then in the midst of the pandemic, I did what everybody did, which we thought was cool. I went and worked for a big DCT company. So I worked for Medable at the time.
Uh-huh.
And it was a really interesting perspective on sort of the evolution of clinical trials in terms of how they were shifting from, in clinic to more home-based or more hybrid options. And then shortly after that, I ran a strategic technology organization at a company called HealthVerity, which was really solely focused on using the connection between real-world data and clinical trial data and trying to connect those two paths. So somewhere about, I guess, a year and 10 months ago, I came over to join the team here at Advarra and haven't looked back since.
Okay, so when I look at your story, we talked about like the idea of you were providing technology um, and building things for what was, kind of sponsor CROs. You weren't necessarily working directly with sites.
Correct.
Advar is a different story, right? So now your job is different, right? Where you're really focused on sites. So tell me what changed when you had to I'm not saying you're still in clinical research. Everything's the same, but all of a sudden you're kind of coming from a different angle. You're coming from the other side of the room. You're opening a door. What was it? What surprised you when you opened that door?
Yeah, I would say, obviously coming from organizations that were primarily predicated on technology and data solutions that were purchased by a sponsor or CRO and provisioned to a site, you
Right.
assume that's just how things work, right? And stepping into the world of Advarra, so outside of being the world's largest central IRB, we're also the largest provider of site-owned, site-native technology solutions. And what that means is all of our research sites, right? And this was, I will fall on my naivety and say this was sort of mind blowing to me. It was to see, outside of the world of sponsored funded research, the thousands and thousands of investigator-led trials that are run at academic centers, at commercial sites, at a range of different institutions, they all have needs as well, and they all have built effectively native workflows around those trials, right? And then when they are then fused with the expectations of a sponsor, so often we're asking them to veer off course from some of the workflows that are native to them, that are traditional to them, or even worse, do things duplicatively, right? Do things in multiple systems and multiple processes they're not familiar with. So that's been, eye-opening to me in my time here at Advarra. And I think you're starting to see some trends at the industry level, particularly sponsors who are starting to connect the dots on saying there's a lot of efficiencies to be gained when we can start to connect to the research workflows, the clinical technology backbones that exist at these major institutions, academic centers, et cetera, to kind of meet them where they are and the tools and the workflows that they're already using, and then provide them with solutions and additional resources where needed, right? We can fill those gaps, but it's not to say that we need to completely take them out of the systems and the places where they work every day, all day, and put them in other places. There's a deficiency that probably is inherited from that.
Okay, so at Scope, we're often talking about how important it is to work effectively with your sites. Like you said, meet them where they are. We talk a lot about site burden. And then we'll have a panel at Scope, Jimmy will be there from SCRS. We'll have friends from the sites, site networks. We'll have all this people plus pharma plus CRO. And everyone says, okay, by the way, did you know that I have 14 different logins and you're all telling me to use different software, me, the guy at the site or whatever. I've been hearing that forever. This isn't new. So the importance of site native workflows, what you said, I absolutely understand it. I think industry understands it. What's happening is it that every trial is unique and there's a project team and they have to, and it just kind of keeps rolling and it's just on autopilot. We know this, right? Don't we know this?
Yeah, I would say it's probably a problem that has actually been compounded here in the last number of years, surely based on the fact that developing new technologies in the age that we live in with AI, where AI can write code, there are new software solutions and new startups being, funded and coming into existence seemingly every day. And that 14 logins is probably 25 logins for the site.
You're probably right.
And it's spiraled. So I think the approach to, the solution for industry, obviously, like we talked about in simplest terms, is meeting the sites where they work. There are many places they work. And I think it really just requires a shared collaboration between the solution vendors that are supporting those direct site workflows, as well as the solution vendors on the other side of the house who are looking to make those connections, to really try to start to create collaborative workflows that, again, are somewhere in the middle. And I don't think there is sort of a panacea or some silver bullet solution to all of this, but I think, again, we look at it from an SSO perspective. You mentioned SSO, like the sites have credentialing for the tools that they use every day, whether it be via the IRB or whether it be via the technologies they buy from us, or frankly, other partners in this space. Shouldn't they be able to use those as sort of a shared single sign-on that could potentially, authenticate and log them into the 25 other best-in-class tools that they don't own, right? But they're going to be provisioned for the trial. And I think if we can find a way to make that model work, we can have the best of both worlds, which is the sites are doing things that are germane to the way that they work, that they understand how to function, but we're also have the ability to bring them the latest AI chatbot or AI widget or whatever the sponsor CRO wants to particularly put on their plate. It can come through a quote unquote digital front door that they walk through every day. Right.
Yeah. Okay. And what you said was interesting too, was like, it actually might get worse, right? Where there is a love of technology. We all love our technology. I live in my own little world. I have my trial, my project team, my set of data, whatever. And that's my world. And then I know it well and I want to build around it. And then sometimes it's natural. It's just natural to kind of, especially if you're a technologist, you love technology. So what you said is true, which is this problem may be compounded now more than before, because even though we have all this ability, efficiencies, automation, it may still actually equal a greater burden on the site, and we're back to square one. All right. Yeah, we'll see. At Scope, we're talking a lot about this every year. I'm blown away by it, how much progress we make, but it's always more and more complicated, right? So you may not make it to Scope this year for good reason. So, but your whole team is there, so I may not see you. But
Yeah.
yeah, congratulations on hopefully having your new baby before Scope.
Thank you. And I'll be watching the Super Bowl with her too, it looks like. So
Yeah, that's good.
fun times. I miss Scope and I miss my favorite time of the year, which is the Super Bowl, but it's okay. Trade-offs, right?
Good reason.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Mike, thanks for chatting. And I think there's going to be a lot of good voices at Scope talking about this exactly. So hopefully we'll make some progress.
Yeah, Advara will be there. And again, I encourage everybody to open their minds and speak to the sites and try to, again, create more of a shared dialogue between everybody that's in this puzzle.
Yep, you're here. All right. Thanks, Mike. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks, sir.